Hello, I'm Kelly and welcome to my FlossTube channel, Animal Instinct. Today is not a cross-stitching update, it's time for my 2024 mid-year whip parade. So I've been doing these for a little while now and I'll be sharing with you all of the projects I've worked on this year, not my whole collection of works in progress. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you're well and are enjoying your stitching. And thank you so much to my existing subscribers and welcome if you're new. I hope you like what you see, and if you do, it would be great if you would subscribe to my channel. So far this year, I guess it hasn't been as good of a stitchy year compared to previous years, but that's okay. I'm working on it, still loving my stitching, just less time, I think that's the main thing. I've had 5 finishes. And I've worked on 20 existing works in progress and I've had 3 starts. So I kind of set myself a goal of no unplanned new starts for the year. And I think of the 3 starts, only one of them is really considered, or I'm considering, an unplanned new start. So that's pretty good. I've made it to halfway through the year with just the 1 start, and that was just recently. I shared that in my last FlossTube. Now I'm losing the light a bit today. It's winter, so it's getting dark early, so hopefully we'll be okay. What I like to do is I'll start with the pieces I've finished and then we'll go through all of the other projects I've worked on and I'll give you all the info. To try and avoid repeating myself, I will put in cover photos of each of the pieces as I go, and also a photo of where they were in my end of 2023 whip parade, so 6 months ago. I am missing a couple of my finishes, so I'll insert photos of them. So let's go. Oh, and absolutely nothing is ironed today. So if you like ironed work, this one might not be for you. Anyway, right, finish number 1. I finished Galah by Unconventional Cross Stitch. I started this one in April last year and I finished it January this year. It's on 18 count white Aida, stitched with two threads, and I just think it is absolutely beautiful. Here is Galah. So happy with this one. Really want to frame it. But just haven't got there yet. My second finish for the year was Keeping It Clean. It's the 3rd piece in a series called Medieval Marginalia by Christie's Corner. I have stitched the 1st and the 2nd in the series, and I'll keep stitching them if she keeps releasing them. So I started this one actually on Christmas Day apparently last year, and I finished it mid-Feb this year. It's on a piece of 40 count linen in Antiquity by No. 12 Stitch Co, and I've stitched it in the code for DMC. This is adapted from artwork in the margins of medieval texts, which is just really cool, very different and fun. My 3rd finish was Haunted Library by Lola Crow Cross Stitch. I started this one in October, I've got the wrong year there, either last year, I think it was the year before, I think it was 22, as one of my October spooky starts. I've done a whole series of spooky starts in October over the last few years with Jo from Belushi Stitches, and this was the first one I think that I finished. I'll pop a photo here of the finish. I finished this in April this year and it's on a piece of 32 count weak tee even weave by Jay's X Stitch. And I think this was the first stitch along, like mystery stitch along, that Lola Crow Cross Stitch did. And she kind of, arrived on the scene and everyone was in. It was instantly extremely popular. I didn't stitch that at the time it was released, but I've stitched it later and I've got a few more of hers on the go too. But she's a really good designer. The next one is a little tiny one that I started, finished and framed all on the same day. And it is Plan Karma. Definitely not saying that right. I'll pop the design up on the screen because I'm not even going to attempt that. And it's my little squid piece. It's on 16 count 8er, I think it was, whatever they recommended. Stitched exactly as needed. This will go into a frame in an animation featuring, I think this will be the main character, and looks like he'll have a friend. So that's really fun to be part of. My final finish so far this year is another one of my October stitchy spooky starts. And it's Welcome Foolish Mortals by the Witchy Stitcher. I'll pop a photo in here. This was started on 15th of October last year as part of the spooky starts we did, and I finished it at the end of April. It's on a piece of 28 count Opal Brittany in Flotsam and Jetsam by Chromatic Alchemy, and I've stitched it with Silks For You PR070, which is the black, and then Glow in the Dark DMC for those eyes. So that's all my finishes so far. Not too many yet, but hopefully I'll get at least a few more in by the end of the year. That'd be nice. Right, time for works in progress. First one is the big one. It's my favourite, my biggest. For some reason I haven't stitched on it as much as I wanted to this year. I can't really explain why. But this is Firefly by Gecko Rouge. It's artwork by J Parks, and then it was a Gecko Rouge kit. I started this quite a long time ago. It's probably one of my older projects. I started it on the 1st of March 2019. It's on 25 count Lugana, and you will have seen a photo of where it was at the end of the year. I'm not going to be able to show it all at once right now because I'm just the way I'm sitting, but I will show you what it's looking like, and then I'll show you what I've actually worked on this year. So, how to do this? Look at the cats first. So there is one. There is another one. And the third one, she's not finished yet. Can't really see what I'm doing, but I think that's the bottom. So I started right in the middle, which was on this guy. Oh, actually it was the sleeve next to, it was actually Simon's sleeve. Somewhere in there is the middle of the whole piece. And then I focused on the captain, went all the way down to the bottom, and then decided to work on Simon with the red glasses. And then last year I was working on his sister River. But this year I'm focusing on, well, I'm supposed to be focusing on the background because there's a lot of background. I've worked on it for 9 days and I've stitched almost 10,000 stitches, and I've reached 24.4%. So I think 1% is about 7,500 stitches roughly. So it takes a long time for that to creep up. So what I've done this year, I've really focused up here. I'm doing the background 2/1 tent stitch or half stitches. The cats are 1/1 full cross. It's not finished, like there's lots of holes, they're little stars that I'll have to come back and fill in. And you can see the start, the spaceship here. Then I decided I would work my way across to, that is the top left of the piece. And pretty much, I think that whole strip sort of from here across to here is just background. So I'll be focusing on this area for the next little while. But yes, this is a crowd favourite and one of my favourites, and I really can't explain why I haven't really put so much time into it this year. but that's okay. Next up is my Welsh Castle. Beaumaris Castle, perhaps. This was a gift from my mum. I've worked on this recently. I started this is old, this is 2017-ish. I had a very meagre start. Then I got caught up in full coverage stitching and it got put away for a few years, but I would definitely like to finish this. So far I have worked on it for 4 days this year and added 2,700 stitches, and I'm about halfway. Love the detail on that castle, the shadows and the blocky stonework. It's really effective. It's always a bit slow going if I'm a fan of Pattern Keeper myself, and it's slow going when you can't get it in to Pattern Keeper. It's a paper pattern, it's a little kit that Mum got me, and I've taken photos of it, tried to scan it, but couldn't really get it in very well. So I'm just using a PDF reader and marking the stitches off, but that's fine too. We're very spoilt now with all these options. I don't know how we managed before, electronic devices. Okay, next one is Beauty Spot by Long Dog Sampler. I started this in February 2021 when I had a flurry of new starts for my 40th birthday. I haven't worked on it much at all, but love the pattern. It's going to take me quite a while, I think. It's a bit deceptive how detailed it is. So it's stitched on 25 count white even weave, and I'm doing 1/1 full cross. And this is where I'm up to. I finished the first motif at the top left. So I worked on it for 2 days. I got about 1,800 stitches and I'm at 4.3%. And it looks like I've got the shakes, so I don't know what's going on there. Sorry for the shakiness. Beautiful colours, a really fun piece. Next up is a Dimensions Gold Collection Petite piece. I think it's my only Dimensions that is underway, possibly. I do have more in my stash. And it's Napping Kitten. I'm using all the kit material. It's on 18 count white Aida. And I've worked on it for 5 days at the start of the year. And I put in about 2,000 stitches. And so I've kind of done the top bit. And you can see the little kitten's head is coming in there. I've also done, the back stitch of the parts I've stitched already, which is really good to get out of the way. Next is the second Lola Crow cross stitch along that I joined. This one I did join when it started, and you get sort of 4 to 6 weeks-ish to stitch like the frame. So in this one it's the greenhouse frame, I guess, and then there's also an aquarium frame that'll come up later. And then they have roughly weekly pattern drops. And I didn't keep up with the frame. I didn't get it done by the time the first things started being released, and I got further and further behind. And I also stitched on this at a retreat and made a counting error, which meant I had a lot of unpicking to do. So I kind of gave up trying to trying to stay up to date with that pretty early on, but I'm definitely keen to keep working on it. It's great, I love it. So yeah, it was started in April last year. This year I've worked on it for 2 days, about 1,750 stitches, and I think because I was trying to do the frame and then each release, and then I just decided to stitch in a particular area. So this is where it is. It's on 32 count linen in French pear by Number 12 Stitch Co. And what I've stitched this year, I think, is that greenery at the top, and I can't remember any of the names of the bits and bobs. Yeah, this is a fun one. If you can hear crunching, my cat Jemima's decided it is dinner time. Okay, next up is, I think it's what I'm calling my oldest WIP, my oldest project, only because I have a rough start date for it and some of the earlier ones I don't. Some of the other earlier ones I don't. This is my first foray back into stitching after a big break. And I found Gecko Rouge. I just Googled, I've said this loads of times, but if you're new, I just Googled modern cross stitch, wondering if it was a thing, because I hadn't stitched for quite a few years, and whoa, found Gecko Rouge. That came up as the first sort of search result, and fell in love with that company, and I do have quite a few of them on the go. But then went down the rabbit hole of discovering Flosstube and all the other you know, sharing of projects and enabling on social media. So this is Coastal artwork by Roseanne Bell, and then it's been charted by Gecko Rouge, and you can generally only buy Gecko Rouge patterns as a full kit. So I've worked on this for 2 days this year, put in 650 stitches, but I couldn't tell you where that was. I think it might be down the bottom left, but I'm just not sure. I don't even know if you'll be able to tell from the before picture, but I suspect it was down there, but who really knows? I am 21% through this piece. It's quite a large one, and it's quite detailed. The flowers have quite a lot of confetti in them, but it's just a beautiful image. It's on 25 count Lugana. They used to provide the 25 count with the red grids, which are 20 by 20, but now they use the 10 by 10 gridded fabric. Coastal. Next up is, I think it might be my only Heaven and Earth design piece. Definitely that's on the go. I do have a few of their patterns. Not too many, but I do have a few in the stash for one day. This is Mini Contessa and Squid. It's, like I just said, it's the mini version. And the artist is Omar Ryan. Now, he's no longer licensed through Heaven and Earth Designs, but you can find his art now on Unconventional X-Stitch, which is excellent. They're a really great company. My galah is from them. So you can find that particular piece, and I think they might have 2 sizes. Or the size they've got is kind of in between the mini that I'm doing and the regular size Haid. I can't really remember, but if you're interested, he's got some really great unique artwork, and there's others I've got my eye on too by him. Anyway, this was started in October 2020, so I kind of had a spooky October start all the way back in 2020. And it's on 28 count Lugana 1/1. I don't have too many pieces on the go on 28 count, stitching 1/1, but I found this one pretty good to work on. I've spent 5 days on it this year, about 1,600 stitches, and I'm at 9.2%. So I think I say this pretty much every time I show it. I started with her face. Because it's a mini, I wasn't sure how I'd go with the detail. And I haven't actually, she looks a bit weird. I haven't finished her face. But I decided I was happy enough with that level of detail. And then I worked my way up to my preferred starting point, which is top left. Really good coverage with dark stitches on 28 count 1/1 full cross. And yeah. Slow going, but really cool piece of artwork. Here is another of my October spooky starts. This is Book of Shadows by Living on the Rainbow. This was started October last year. And this is just really neat because it comes with excellent instructions to make it into that finished 3D book like that you can thumb through. And I also am very fortunate enough to have the embellishment pack. So on the photo I shared, you could probably see the little corner bits, I can't remember what they're called. And there's a skull cabochon on the front cover, and there's a few other, I think it comes with a chain, a little padlock and chain. So hopefully you can figure out how to do that. And I really would like to do that by the end of the year, so I've got to get quite a bit more stitching done. I have done a fair bit so far this year. I've worked on it for 6 days and about 3,000 stitches roughly. And that's where it is. So it's on 18 count Aida, just on the cover at the moment. I've done all the gold Kreinik. There's some missing stitches here, here, and sort of around here. I still need to come back to that. That's more Kreinik. And yeah, want to finish the cover before I move on to the pages. The pages are quite sort of simple, so hopefully they don't take too long to stitch. Now I'm not sure if my light is blowing things out, but it's getting dark out there, so we'll just keep going. Okay, next is my second start. So I had the little squid start earlier in the year. Then mid-April, the latest mystery stitch along from Lolaco Cross Stitch was released, the Deadly Aquarium, and that's underway at the moment, very popular. I am managing this time to keep up with the releases and I'm really enjoying it. So no before picture, and this is where I'm up to. Oh, the fabric's coming out nicely. It's a 28 count casual linen. It's really kind of thick and scratchy, but it's okay. And it's Jazz by Picture This Plus. I actually bought this in a local needlework store in Texas. When was I there? 2018. And it's been sitting there waiting for something, and I thought this was perfect. So I've worked on this one so far for 13 days and it's about 9,000 stitches. Come in and show you some of the features. So we've got seagulls. We have this kelp forest. Cute little puffer fish. Oh, is it focusing? There we go. One of my favourites, moray eel in a treasure chest with a diver's helmet and his skull. There's fire coral, those beautiful bright corals. There is another cheeky little seagull there looking at the grumpy stonefish. I can't remember again what that thing is above it. It's some sort of seaweedy, sluggy thing. A lionfish and a rabbit fish. So loving this and hope to keep up with it. There's still a few months left to go. I don't know if you can see my pile steadily growing there. Hopefully it stays upright. Okay, on to the next page of notes. Next up is Moon Glow by Nora Corbett. This one I started in November last year, so it's a reasonably new start. I hadn't done much on it really, but I had a really good session a few months ago, a month ago. I did 6 days and got about 4,500 stitches completed, and this is how she's looking. It's on Antique Teal, it's 32 count linen Antique Teal from XG Design. And I think I have to replicate this foliage over on this side, and there's a moon and there's like a heap of stars, and it's a mix of stitches and beads. And then I've got a heap of beads to go through here too. But I just think she's just beautiful, even if she's a bit of a crumpled mess at the moment. So that is Moon Glow. Next is another Gecko Rouge piece. I'd had this for a while and finally started it on my birthday back in February 2023, last year. I swapped out the kit fabric from a 25 count, like the plain fabric, to 25 count Lugana Stormy Night by Zweigart. And this year I've put in about almost 1,200 stitches over 2 days, and I've reached 34%, so just over a third done, and you can't see what it is. It's just weird abstract colours. I think I'm coming up to the back of a cat's ear here. Maybe that could be my goal. By the end of the year, you'll be able to see that there is a cat in there. It's just beautiful. Another older piece. I started this one in 2020, early 2020. About to lose everything. It is Mermaid's Folly by the Courtney Collection, or Courtney Collection, I don't think it's that. Stitching it on 40 count linen in Murky by Picture This Plus, and I'm using DMC 3371, 1 strand of thread over 2 on the fabric. Didn't get as much done as I hoped. I stitched this in May for Mermania, hosted by Belushi Stitches and Emma X Stitching. And this is where I got to this year. Well, that's the whole thing so far that I've done. But I was working on this section here this year. So you can see the creepy old man's face. And I really had hoped to finish all the way down to the bottom, but obviously that didn't happen. But still, it's a good effort, and I think it's just looking great. Really like the fabric choice and the thread. I don't have a percent for that one. It's a paper pattern, but I did actually successfully get it into Pattern Keeper. It's just counting every single square in the whole piece as a stitch, so it's not an actual representation of the percent of the stitched area that I've done, if that makes sense. Next. This is Sunny Beach by Anna Stitch. This is another old one that I started in December 2020. It's on 16 count Aida, so very different to how I normally stitch full coverage, but I really enjoy it. This year I've worked on it for 3 days, about 3,300 stitches, and I've reached 24.5%, so I'm close enough to a quarter of it done. And yeah, you can really see the difference between the before photo and now. I just showed this on my last floss tube. So I've done the, these are the sort of rocky, cliffy island thingies in Thailand. And then this amazing blue sky with the clouds. There's a lot of blends in the sky, but it's a beautiful effect. This isn't so detailed. There's that, if you saw the cover sheet, the boat in the foreground, I think will mean that that doesn't matter, that it's a bit sort of blocky. So yeah, that's coming along really nicely. In a very summery project bag that I made a few years ago with koalas eating watermelons and ice blocks, and it's really cold here at the moment. Just noticed that. Oof. Okay, this is from the Earth Day Sal. It is Gaia by Quaternion Creations, and I've just worked on it for one day this year, 315 stitches. It's on 16 count Aida in petals by Picture This Plus, and this is where it is at. It's actually a light pink fabric, but you can't really tell in this light. So finished up the globe and started on like her body, but yeah, really have done not much at all. It's, I think I just said, as part of the Earth Day stitch along, and I've got a collection of patterns that I'd like to slowly work through and possibly do something like this quilt behind me on a smaller scale. And it's being stitched on Lyrebird Walk by Cottage Garden Threads, which is teals and blue. It's really nice. Next up is another Gecko Rouge piece. This one is called Daryl Dixon. It's by the same artist who designed Firefly. So again, I don't think I mentioned, but Firefly is based on the TV show Firefly. Very fun, excellent show, highly recommend. Set in the space, they're not cats, they are people in the TV show, but Jay's sort of area of expertise is converting popular characters into cats. Hence why they're all cat characters. If you know the show Firefly, you can work out which of the characters they are, which is why I was mentioning their names. Anyway, so similar concept for Daryl Dixon. He is a character on The Walking Dead, but in this piece he is in cat form. This is another one I started with Jo from Belushi Stitches. We started it in July last year. It's on 18 count Aida, and I recently worked on it. I just showed it in my last floss tube. I did 3 days and I got about 2,100 stitches, and it's actually taken me just over the third of the way through. I'm 33.6%. So this is where he is now. So I really focused on this side recently. There's a lot of this kind of grey browny background I wanted to get done, so I'm not stuck with it at the end. I need to come back and finish his face. He looks a bit weird at the moment. This is something on his backpack. It might be something to do with his bow, I can't remember. And you can just see these are some zombie cats coming in the background too. So, Mr. Daryl Dixon. Another cat piece. You sensing a theme? I do like other animals, I promise. This one is the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, and this is designed by Mandarings Designs. This is another one of my 40th birthday starts back in February 2021, and I think I worked on it for a session or two, maybe just one back then, and I'm not sure if I've touched it since, but I recently put one day into it, but I did manage to stitch 1,111 stitches, taking it to 20.4%. And as well as doing some of that background, I've also started on his tail. This is on 32 count Rainbow Ocean from Sew It All Australia. It's a printed even weave, very frayish. So I don't have a overlocker or serger. I just used my sewing machine and did a stitch around to secure that to hopefully prevent too much more. That is him. Another cat piece. Oh, whoops. Anyway, it's okay. This one is the City Cat Silhouette by Maya X-Stitch on Etsy. We saw the lovely Deb Wilson finish hers beautifully, and that inspired Joe and I to start this as one of our October spooky starts, and I'm hoping it's going to be my next finish. So started it October last year. I recently put 3 days into this and stitched about 2,000 stitches, and I've actually completed all of the cross stitch and half stitches. It's mainly half stitches actually, and that light is going to blow it out, but it's on 32 count linen in marbled terracotta by XG Designs, and it's got more of this sort of colour through it. There's a lot of light stitches, and so you can see like these are going to be the city sort of scape in the background, the lantern and the couple, but I've got a large amount of backstitch to go, and you'll be able to see all of those details much more clearly. But the stitching, the main stitching is completed. Another piece that I'm just about finished with is the Primitive Hair Mermaid of Salem Bay. This was another Mermania start last year, and I finished all of the cross stitch. I still have to fiddle with her face. I'm not happy with her face, so I'm playing with that. It's kind of gone in the naughty corner for a little while until I'm willing to come back and work on her face. And then there's beads, but otherwise it's done. I started it, like I said, May last year. I haven't kept records of when I've stitched on this. This is one I've stitched on like at retreats and things like that. And it's on a piece of the Cold 4 fabric, which is a 30 count Pirates linen by Primitive Hair, and it's great. So this also should be finished this year. We'll see. All right, just about done. 40 minutes, doing really well. Next one is my travel piece. I don't keep records on when I stitch on this. I just stitch on it like when I have appointments and things like that. It's a great little compact travel kit, and it's Heartstring Sampleries Coffee Drinker's Confession. I started this in December 2022. It's on a piece of 40 counts linen in Smoky Chimney by XG Designs. I had this kitted up. It was a Nashville market release. Oh, maybe 2018? Not sure. Either 2018 or 2019. And I got it, I really loved it as soon as I saw it. Got it kitted up way back then and just never got around to starting it. So I have done quite a lot this year and there's not really too much to go. It's just, I don't work on it very often, and when I do work on it, I only put a little bit in at a time. So I would like, this is another one really, I should finish this one this year. Then lucky last, my only unplanned new start so far this year. I started this just recently in June this year, and it's another Gecko Rouge pattern. I've had it in my stash for quite a while, and it is called Go Home by Aruda Art. There it is. I think it's really unique. I love the big moon, the beautiful bright sky, and the silhouette and that urban setting with the power lines. It's just really, really neat and different. It's about 120,000 stitches, I think. 426 stitches wide by 280 high, and it's got 87 colours. I'm stitching it on 25 count Lugana, 101 full cross, and that is my start. I've put 3 days into it, 1730 stitches, and I am at 1.5%. So a great selection of projects. I do have plenty of others that I haven't yet touched this year. I'm keen to get some finishes, but we'll just see what calls to me, I guess, as the year goes on. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I've been working on this year, and I think that's it. So we'll leave it there. My next update will just be a regular stitching update towards the end of July. So until then, happy stitching. See ya.